about the resilience from the squad.
I love the way we fight. This team never gives up.
It's the playoffs. I'm going to do whatever it takes to win.
Embiid is rolling early.
Keep going.
Sixers with all kind of swagger. Lou Williams feeling it. Oh my goodness. Here it goes. And Young scores again. Gallinari, big shot for the Hawks. What a comeback and what a collapse.
He is Jalen Rose. I'm David Jacoby. We are Jalen and Jacoby. What exactly is it that we do?
We get the people what they want.
We have an update on the Mavs front office. Paul George got it done without Kawhi Leonard, but we start with the Sixers and the Hawks. Jalen Anthony Rose. This game was over. The Sixers were up by 24 points.
Waxing the Hawks.
It was over. And then Trae Young and the Hawks turned the entire thing around. This was not a comeback. This was a collapse by the Sixers. What do you think of this game?
First, shout to Nate McMillan, because the resolve of this young basketball team has been remarkable for their first overall playoff run together. And Trae Young in particular, going against multiple defenders.
Oh, yeah.
It don't matter whether it's Ben Simmons, it don't matter whether it's Thibault, it don't matter whether it's Tobias Harris. He's still finding a way to initiate the offense and play make for those around him. In particular, the beneficiary is our guy, John Collins. And that three that he made was major.
Huge.
In that comeback.
Huge.
And all of a sudden now, if you're Philadelphia, you go from being in the driver's seat thinking that you have the answers to solving Trae Young, and then they go to the bench. Lou Will came in the fourth quarter.
Lemon Pepper Lou.
He was balling.
Yeah, he was.
Putting in work. He and Gallo. Were both balling, and they needed that productivity to get themselves back in the game.
My only criticism of Gallo's game last night is, remember when he had the mohawk? He's letting it grow out now. Like, he needs to see the barber. It just looks so much better with the mohawk. He had a playoff cut. But Jalen, I can't stress this enough, as we celebrated the Hawks. This was a complete meltdown from a strategy perspective, from an execution perspective, and from a gentleman by the name of Ben Simmons.
So the thing about Ben Simmons, I believe if the Philadelphia 76ers lose to the Atlanta Hawks, when you look at the landscape of the Eastern Conference, Boston is now changing their coach. The Nets now have a big three. The Bucks have Giannis re-signed. I believe if they lose the series, they'll probably change their coach. So if you're Philly, what move do you now make? Hinkie, gone. GM, trust the process. Old coach, Brown, gone. Right? You bring in Daryl Morey. You bring in Doc Rivers. And all of a sudden you're getting bounced by the Hawks. I believe if the Sixers lose in this series, they're going to break up Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid.
Well, they tried. They tried earlier this season. They tried to trade Ben Simmons for James Harden. It did not work. But you know there were only two human beings in a Sixers jersey that scored field goals in the second half, and that was Seth Curry, who had a great game, and Joel Embiid. Like, it was just a complete meltdown by them. You have to look at Doc Rivers as well.
Shout to Seth Curry, because like you mentioned, he was the only one that played above his expectation, and he kept him in that game. And put those fourth quarter numbers back up there, please, for the Philadelphia 76ers big three. Because you know what may not be up there? The free throw Joel missed late. That was also crucial. And like I told you, Ben Simmons, it's one thing not to score a field goal in the fourth quarter. Oh, by the way, he hasn't scored one in the last two fourth quarters. It's another thing to have zero, dog.
I know.
Like, to have a donut in the fourth quarter for your all-star, your all-NBA performer, like, I told everybody the pieces of the chessboard just become awkward in the playoffs because they need to occupy the same real estate. Joel is best around the basket and in the paint. So is Ben Simmons. Like I told you.
We've been saying this for years.
They're the only team. Get this knowledge, y'all. They're the only team whose two best players aren't primary three-point shooters. They're the only team in these playoffs. And so what happens is if they're not out in transition, they're not getting steals and they're not getting blocks, and you're able to set your defense, and Ben Simmons is a poor free throw shooter as well. Like Philly in trouble. I told you I was at the game on Monday. And what did I tell you I saw when they came to the timeouts?
Joel Embiid lying down on the sideline like Larry Bird, looking up at the ceiling, fatigued. And it looked like he was also fatigued in the fourth quarter of this one. It's not just this season. We've been saying that about Joel Embiid in the playoffs for years now.
His productivity between the first quarter, first half, versus the fourth quarter.
Two different
players.
Two different people.
It's two different players. And so if you're Doc Rivers, if they lose this series, he's going to now start to be questioned also.
Remember last year when he was playing Montrezl Harrell and Jokic was doing whatever he wanted? He was questioned then and he lost his job.
And you know who was on that team last year? Lou Will. You know how much he loved doing that? Mm-hmm. Think about it. Lou Will played for Doc Rivers last year. And they came up short of expectation. And so if they lose this year, they're not going to fire Doc, but man, he's going to be on the hot seat as it relates to fans and media.
Well, we had another game in the nightcap. It was a Kawhi-less Clippers going up against the Jazz. And listen, I'm going to say it out loud. I wrote the Clippers off without Kawhi Leonard. I was like, there's no chance that they are going to win this series without Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Not pandemic P, it was playoff P last night.
This was a signature moment in a Clippers uniform for Paul George that he sorely needed.
Preach.
This was the best player in the Indiana Pacer uniform going against LeBron James and the Miami Heat that I saw last night. He was on a trajectory to be a superstar as an Indiana Pacer. He had a horrific injury, and then he goes to OKC, reinvents himself, gets in the MVP conversation, becomes a member of the Clippers with Kawhi Leonard, and all of a sudden struggles when they need him the most. Kawhi goes out after both of them been playing well. All eyes were on Paul George, and he over-delivered.
Oh yeah,
he over-delivered.
He had like a Kevin Durant game. Like
Correct.
it was like Kevin Durant's
Correct.
game.
Correct.
Look at the rebounds: 5 assists, 16 rebounds, 37 points.
And also, when he's dominant like that, now Morris can find a way to knock his shots down.
Morris look great.
And shout to Reggie Jackson. He's been a revelation for them. One thing that Ty Lue has done that's kind of like not being discussed, because he gave Reggie Jackson Patrick Beverley's spot.
Oh, all of it. All of it.
Like, Patrick Beverley was their starting point guard for like 2 or 3 years before they picked up Reggie Jackson. Now, that productivity they're getting from him is sorely needed. On the road at Utah without Kawhi.
Well, another thing that they're doing is Ty Lue said, Zubac, I appreciate your service. Thank you so much. You helped us a lot during the regular season. Big fella. Love you so much. But you ain't seen the floor in this one. I don't care if Rudy Gobert is out there. We're going to go small. We're going to stay small. And they did a lot of action that got Rudy Gobert in the pick and roll, which is something that people talk about for the Defensive Player of the Year. You shouldn't be targeted the way he was targeted last night.
Well, 7-footer is going to get targeted. That's just how this goes. Yeah. The last MVP that was a center was Shaq in 2000. I was in the league then. I won Most Improved Player. Guess what happened in the finals? You're not going to stop Shaq in the paint.
No.
But he ain't going to stop you in pick and roll. You just got to make these great players work, and that's what they're doing to Rudy Gobert.
And they're doing a really good job at it. Now, there's something that happened that we have to discuss, and it's that. The Terrence Mann, quote-unquote, dunk. I love this so much. Look at his face when he gets up, Jalen.
Who's the artist that said, he's a man-eater?
It's Hall & Oates, I believe.
You like that, right?
Here she comes. Watch out for, she'll chew you up.
That's what I thought about when I saw that. He's a man-eater.
Hall & Oates, we're so old talking about Hall & Oates in 2021.
Oh, here he comes. Watch out, Rudy. He'll chew you up. Oh, here he comes. He's a man-eater. Hey, that's a big-time play for that young guy.
Yep.
He's playing quality minutes for them. And I always look at their backcourt and try to figure out who's going to be a guy that they're going to get productivity from. They're needing his quality minutes.
And again, Pat Bev is on the sideline. Terrence Mann is in the game.
Yes.
Reggie Jackson is in the game, being very productive. We have some more news from Dallas regarding the Mavericks. The legend, Donnie Nelson, is no longer going to be in the front office, and there are murmurs and rumors and reports that Doncic is upset about this. There's just so much going on with Dallas that has nothing to do with the basketball. Why are we hearing this?
Keep it simple. This is a conversation about two people that the rest of us don't even have to worry about. This is between Mark Cuban and Luka.
That's it.
If Luka signs on the dotted line, that means he's happy with who's getting hired and fired. Mm-hmm. If he doesn't sign on the dotted line, that means he's unhappy with who's getting it. You don't have to overthink it. If they trade Porzingis, that's because Luka doesn't mind them moving him. Oh, and by the way, as you start to look around the league and the playoffs start to happen.
Oh, I like it when you get this voice.
Yeah.
What are you going to give us, Jalen?
What started to happen is you start to look at players like Porzingis' salary, and then you start to look at players like Ben Simmons' salary. And you start to figure, like, there are deals around the league that could be done for players. Mm-hmm. So many times you try to figure, that's going to be a tough deal to move.
Every contract is tradable. There's no such thing as an untradeable contract. There is not.
Correct. What would you think about Porzingis alongside Embiid?
No, and no. All of a sudden, I could see him in like the Dwight Howard role, but no, the two of them on the floor at the same time. No, thank you. No, thank you. Jalen, there are so many Jalens in this world, and it has been researched and proven that most of the Jalens in this world are named after Jalen Anthony Rose. But we have a Jalen of the week that's going to blow your mind. It's time for Jalen of the week. Jalen, you weren't exactly a defender in the National Basketball Association, but this is the best defense from a Jalen I've ever seen, including Jaylen Brown. Let's check Jalen of the week.
He is up on him. Like the glove.
Yeah, he's giving up some size, too. Giving up some size.
Like Tony Allen.
Yeah.
And he's enthusiastic about playing D.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about, baby.
Look, giving him no space.
Yeah, no space.
Up in him.
No space. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm in your area.
But you know what I have to say?
What?
Jalen got a nice crib.
Oh, yeah, he got a lot of room. My kitchen, we didn't play basketball inside in my house.
Shout out to the family. You know what I'm saying? That's a fat crib. He got some elbow room to work on his game.
He really does. We didn't have an indoor hoop in my house growing up. We didn't have room for that.
That's legit 10 feet tall.
Great woodwork. Look at that staircase. Yeah, shout to this family and shout to that Jalen. The best defense from a Jalen I have ever seen.
Love, youngster.
Last time we saw the Nets and the Bucks take the floor, it was an absolute knockout, legendary performance from Kevin Durant. Will Giannis guard Durant tonight? Jalen Rose will tell you right after this. You are watching Jalen and Jacoby.
Jalen and Jacoby is brought to you by Heineken. Enjoy.
Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby, coming to you live from the Seaport District of Manhattan and brought to you by Chase. Jalen, in Game 5, Kevin Durant did not have Kyrie Irving, barely had James Harden. Scored 49 points, got them the come-from-behind win. Tonight, in Game 6, will Giannis cover Kevin Durant?
Yes.
Will it happen?
How about this? When Giannis got in the car and went home after the last game, he was in the ride with his big brother. And I guarantee his older brother told him, man, if coach put me in there, I'll lock KD down. Right? You know he said that. You know he has that irrational confidence or he wouldn't be in the league, right? That's his role, right? And you know the second thing he said? Hey, dog, I ain't as good as you. We actually need you to accept the challenge. And if you look back at this series in the fourth quarter, you know how many times Giannis Antetokounmpo has guarded Kevin Durant?
In the entire series?
0. Like, I'm extremely disappointed in that, dog.
Pat Connaughton should not cover Kevin Durant more than Giannis.
Family. By accident, if you're out there playing 40 minutes and another guy playing 48 minutes, you have to guard him. Put that back up there. His brother got to stand up guarding him. See what I'm saying?
The Nassus Antetokounmpo. Yeah.
Come on, dog.
4 times the Nassus Antetokounmpo has guarded Kevin Durant in the fourth quarter. 0 times Giannis.
Dog, you have to, and first off, not only greatness on greatness, ability on ability, MVP on MVP, but how about just sheer length? Mm-hmm. Like, these are two dudes, and let me teach you guys about the anatomy of a 6'11 player. Kevin Durant is the 6'11 player with guard skills.
Yep.
but the height of a big that can do some things like block shots, contest shots. Giannis at 6'11" has the ability of a big where he's going to get you the boards, get you the blocks, and play near the paint, but also has the ability to get out on the floor and initiate offense and guard point guards and stuff like that. But that ain't his forte. Look back even a couple of years ago when the Toronto Raptors advanced past the Milwaukee Bucks. I bet if you go back to that series, you could say the same thing about Giannis not guarding Kawhi Leonard.
Kawhi Leonard.
So
It's going to happen tonight, though.
But
it's gonna happen tonight.
Is the night. Tonight.
And we'll see what we get from
night.
James Harden. Obviously, they're going to be without Kyrie Irving, who didn't even travel to Milwaukee for the game. And injuries have told the story of this postseason.
Yes.
There has been nine All-Stars.
Wow, that's crazy.
That have missed games, including Chris Paul if he misses game one of the Western Conference Finals. And LeBron James chimed in on this on Twitter. He basically said, we knew this was going to happen when you put out the schedule. We were going to have injuries, and now you see it at the end. You see, he says, sorry fans, wish you guys were seeing all your fave guys right now. It's worth noting that the Players Association agreed with the schedule, wanted the money. What do you think about LeBron's comments?
How many times have LeBron made it to the finals?
10.
Okay, during those 10 finals runs, if you look back at the journey, I guarantee you there were teams that had injuries.
Always. It's always the story in the postseason.
I remember when he was in Miami, they was going to play against, I think, the Bulls. Derrick Rose and them, they had injuries. Like, that's a part of the game. It looks different now in the 72-game schedule when you have 9 All-Stars getting injured and we're playing championship basketball in July.
Yep.
That's something that we've never done. But here's the thought I want to make sure I put out there. Anthony Davis has kind of been injury prone his entire career.
Nothing to do with the shortened season or the bubble or anything.
And LeBron said that he was going to empty the clip and throw the gun. Well, at the end of, I believe, game 4, he was trying to pass the ball to Marc Gasol, and Chris Paul stole the ball. Right? And then that was basically the end of that, right?
There it is.
And then the game after that, game 5, 5 minutes to go.
Walking the tunnel.
I thought that he was going to become Superman for game 6. That's I
thought it was going to be 40 points, 15 rebounds, 10 assists.
And then look at our guy, saucering on him in game 6. You see Crowder saucering on him? So that's what LeBron is talking about. The Lakers got bounced. That's what happened. He and like Laker fans have to sit back and watch a guy that they coined Pandemic P play basketball in the playoffs while the purple and gold's on the sideline.
When Kawhi is injured, Paul George steps up, wins a pivotal game. And when Kyrie and James Harden are injured, Kevin Durant steps up, wins a critical game.
That's what the Lakers needed from LeBron. The kind of performance that they got from KD, the kind of performance they got from Paul George.
And LeBron, to defend LeBron, because you know I love LeBron.
He is the king.
He was also injured. He was also injured himself. And I think that George and Kevin Durant were not.
And I got to tell you a secret. LeBron's kind of older than these dudes.
A little bit.
He needed a break.
A little bit.
He needed a break.
When we were talking about Hall & Oates in the previous block, LeBron got the reference. That's how old he is. That's how old he is. When we come back, we have some information about Team USA basketball. And you know what I'm going to do, Jalen?
What?
I'm going to do the media thing.
No.
And I'm going to read way too much into it. Because we have Dame and Draymond committed to the team. Will they be on the same team in the NBA?
Oh,
we'll talk about that
rumors,
right after this. You are watching Jalen and Jacoby.
You want to start rumors, huh?